Good afternoon, my people. What is going on, Wealth Our Way Nation? It is your main man, Charles Tank Harris, the founder and chief visionary officer of the financial literacy firm Wealth Our Way, where our motto is wealth is not only for the wealthy. I welcome each and every one of you to episode 145, The Lies They Tell. Before we get into today's content, I must practice the attitude of gratitude and thank each and every one of you who are here with me live as I stream across the Wealth Our Way Facebook page and the Wealth Our Way Network YouTube page. Please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube page. Also, want to give the Wild Nation salute to all the members of Wealth Our Way Nation who watch this program pre-recorded overnight, over the weekend, anywhere they can squeeze 15 minutes of financial literacy in. And then a heartfelt how are you to the good folks on the Life 101 platform who listen to the audio recording of this very here program. It feels like it's been so long since we spoke. You know, that gap between Thursday and Tuesday, it makes me sad. I miss you cats. I hope you had an amazing weekend and that your week is off to a great start. With that being said, today, we're going to do a little housekeeping as well as cover some interesting content. I know with a title like The Lies They Tell, I got some people to talk about today. But I want you to know we're changing the format. And the changes are always because we're trying to improve how we deliver information to you. There's no other motivation. I want to give you the best content I can provide, the team can provide. And one of the changes that we are going to do is in regards to the Financial Power Hour. Instead of going weekly on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., we're going to go every other Wednesday at 6 p.m. so that we can truly produce the show. Make sure the guests are lined up, make sure they're prepped with content. We do the shows live, but I want to make sure that we are securing guests, getting them the information that we're going to talk about ahead of time so that they can prepare to answer questions or have a conversation. And I find that in a week's time, as soon as you do Wednesday's show, trying to turn around to advertise for next Wednesday's show, and we don't have guests lined up sometimes, it's very difficult. So we're going to go to every other Wednesday, and that is starting this week. So with that being said, tomorrow night, there is no Financial Power Hour. A week from tomorrow night, we will have our panel back on who discussed the cost of dating, the do's and don'ts and detriments of dating. We're going to have that panel back on. And then 2 weeks after that, oh man, I got it set up already. We're going to have a panel of attorneys on the Financial Power Hour talking about the cost of love, prenups, postnups, the cost of divorce, child separation and child agreements. All of those things we're going to be talking about 2 weeks from next Wednesday's show, and then we're going to move into a different topic. So I want you guys to all note your calendar that we're going to go to every other Wednesday with the Financial Power Hour. I am going to be adding on Instagram an IG Live series. So we will start doing something very similar to 15 minutes of finance. It may be a little shorter, but that's going to be on Instagram on the Wealth Our Way page starting in 2 weeks as well. So we're going to have a reduction in one area and an addition in another area. You guys know I'm going to bring the fire for you. So with that being said, let's get into the lies they tell. Part of my job is to research the things that you guys are hearing out here in social media land when it pertains to finance. And I cannot let certain things go. In fact, I thought of having a whole series of where I find people who are saying things on the internet and put their content next to me telling you why their content is wrong. The feedback I got from the team is that that could be received as negative and as being a hater, not as trying to be helpful to you guys. So I've been told basically not to do that. But with that being said, instead of singling people out in that form, I'm going to just come here and talk about the things that I've seen that are dangerous that people are saying. Two of the things really center around life insurance. One of the things that I saw the other day, first of all, it really bothers me When I understand that in order to sell your services, you got to kind of get people hooked and interested and want to come in. But when you give people misleading snippets of information just to get them excited, to me, that's borderline criminal. And I see it a lot with the financial pundits on the internet. So these two particular cats, one of which I actually know personally, so that kind of bothered me. We're talking about life insurance, two different people talking about two different ways to use life insurance. One of them was talking about how banks use life insurance and how if it's good enough for a bank, it should be good enough for you because they make, they have much more money than us, which is true. Banks do have more money than us. And it is true that banks own life insurance. However, what this person was not being completely transparent about is that there's a saying that the rich get richer. There's a lot of reasons that statement is true. One of the reasons, though, is that the rich are already starting out with a lot of money. And when you already are starting out with a lot of money, you don't have to take the same risks that people with less money have to take. Let me give you a mathematical example of that. Let's say Big Tank has $100 million. And let's say you do not. I can take my $100 million and put it in the bank in a savings account that's only paying 1%. And a 1% savings account sucks. But I can put my $100 million in a bank savings account earning 1%, and I would be earning $1 million a year. Be taxable, but I'd still be earning $1 million a year. $1 million a year is more than almost everybody in America makes. So because I'm already rich, I don't have to do much to continue to get rich. You put your money in a 1% savings account, or I put my money in a 1% savings account, I'm not getting rich off of that interest. So the more money you have, the more advantage you have. This particular guy was talking about life insurance policies that he was referring to an index universal life policy. If you guys watched everything about insurance, the webinar I did last year, I talked about this, and I'll talk about it again in 2022. And he was just making claims about how much money he makes inside the insurance policy. And that claim is untrue. Those numbers are unsubstantiated. In fact, the government doesn't even allow insurance agents to illustrate numbers that high because they know they're untrue and misleading. Then I saw another guy that was talking about secrets that wealthy people use. Once again, everybody wants to know, what are the wealthies doing? What secrets do they know? And he also was talking about life insurance, a concept called banking on yourself, which is buying cash value life insurance, letting the cash value grow, and borrowing from it. It's a very real thing. I do it. However, what they're not talking about is the amount of time it takes for a cash value life insurance policy to actually grow any cash value that you could borrow is over a decade. It's a long time. Insurance policies have a lot of expenses in them in the early years that eat up your cash value. And as a result of that cash value being eaten up, you have to wait about a decade before there's enough cash in the policy to start borrowing. And even after that decade, there's a relationship between how much money you've been putting in and how much you can borrow. There is not some magical growth formula that says you can have a whole life policy that you pay $50 a month into, and then magically in year 11, borrow $300,000 against it. No, there's going to be maybe $2,000 in that policy. And if you need to borrow $2,000, you're in luck. But if you need to borrow $100,000 or $30,000, you can't do it. And people don't tell you that portion of it. And it's purposely misleading to get you to buy their course or listen to something else. And it makes me angry. So I'm here to protect you as Wild Nation, as well as anyone else who hears my voice, against these people who are these tricksters. I'll go deeper into that at another time. To answer Ariane's question about Wednesdays, there'll be no power hour. Will it just be a regular 15-minute session? You know what? I will. Boom, you ask and it's answered. I will bring back a 15 minutes of finance on Wednesday. So I'll do a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 15 minutes of finance on the days that there's no financial power hour, unless that gets confusing. So Ariane, let me back my words up already. I want to do it but even though I run this company, I answer to the team. If the team thinks that it's going to confuse the audience, that some Wednesdays there's a power hour and other Wednesdays there's a 15 minutes of finance, if I'm overruled, then I won't do it. But if they think that we can advertise it and everybody will follow along, yeah, I have I love running my mouth. I have no problem giving you guys 15 minutes of finance on the off Wednesdays. I got an inbox from a Wild Nation member who was talking about the way corporations are buying up residential real estate. And it's crazy that I got that inbox because that was also part of the lies they tell. The reality right now in the housing market, and I'm experiencing it firsthand as I look for a home in the greater Atlanta area, is that housing prices are rising up because companies like Blackstone, which is a hedge fund, a huge, huge hedge fund in America, are buying residential real estate and in most cases renting out the real estate as part of their investment strategy, because rents, for the most part, are streams of consistent money that they can count on. And they noticed back in 2008 when the housing market crashed that there was a gluttony is the wrong word. There was an overwhelming excess of foreclosed properties hitting the market. The houses that people bought that they really couldn't afford because of predatory lending and things of that nature were now being sold for pennies on the dollar. It looked like a great investment opportunity, and it was. And now what you're finding is when I go to look at a house that's $400,000 that's already overpriced, or $600,000 or $800,000 that's already overpriced. When I decide that I'm going to go ahead and pay this overpriced number and I put my offer in, I need a mortgage. Big Tank ain't rich. I need a mortgage. The Blackstone Group, operating under some other name, they have a bunch of little companies with different names. They don't need a mortgage. They got a bag of money, and they just come in and offer the person cash. A seller is, of course, going to want to sell to the person who can close in 30 days with cash, as opposed to closing with someone who may want to close in 60 to 90 days with a mortgage. Because I don't know if you guys have ever been through the mortgage process. Sometimes people's mortgages don't close. They fall through. So you're a seller, you sign a contract, you think you're selling this house, and the person can't get approved for their mortgage or whatever. So sellers are like, hell, I'll go with the cash seller. The problem with that is sometimes we are our own worst enemy. When you sell a house, you still have to go live somewhere. Let's always keep that in mind. You either need to buy a new house or you've decided home ownership isn't for you anymore and you're going to rent. If you are taking part in this heinous attack on the American middle class by corporations right now and you're part of the problem because you're selling, you're getting the money grab. And don't get me wrong, I get you. I have this microphone right here, right? This microphone may be worth $70. I don't even know. It was given to me by a business associate. If somebody walked in right now and offered me $3,000 for this microphone, it's sold, it's gone, and I'll be back to not talking on the microphone because I need that extra money. If you want to pay me that much, I'm going to take it. People are doing the same thing with houses, and you can't blame them. The problem is you're going to go out and look for a new place to live, and you're going to have to pay too much money because you supported the very monster that is raising these prices. And this will not stop. This is predatory in another way. Now these corporations own all of these homes and they're renting them out, and they're raising the average rates of rent up. So for all my millennial people out there who I love very much, I have children who are millennials, who refuse to buy a home and want to rent for the rest of their life, rents are now going up way faster than inflation because these companies are in control. At some auctions, they're buying. In the last 4 years, 1 out of every 10 homes bought in America was bought by a corporation. They're going to auctions and they're outbidding. It's affecting all areas of the economy because you have the guys who make a living going to the auction, buying a house, renovating it, and selling it. They can't compete to the hedge fund guy in the back room with a duffel bag of money just outbidding them. So I'm already at my time, but this is a great topic that I will come back and finish up on Thursday's 15 Minutes of Finance. We will talk more about the gutting of the American middle class housing market. And then we'll also make the determination on whether we're going to do 15 minutes of finance on Wednesdays that we don't do the financial power hour. So hope I didn't confuse anybody. The next time you'll see my handsome face is Thursday, 12:30 for the next episode of 15 Minutes of Finance. Until then, please remember, wealth is not only for the wealthy. Take care.